What's up? Today, I'm going to show you how to make a party break edit. Okay, so what is a party break edit? A party break edit is those things you hear where everyone's like, woo, put your hands up. Yeah, woo, woo, put your hands in the air, hands up, hands up. That kind of shit. So it's a lot of like wordplay, stuff like that, little like hype up crowd stuff. So it's stuff where you don't have to talk on the mic, because the edit already has those sort of like vocal chops and samples in there for you to utilize. So there's like two things that I do when I'm making a party break edit. I either try to, one, harmonically mix well, because you're going to be using multiple elements, multiple samples, putting them into one thing. So I'll use the Camelot wheel for that. And then the second thing that I do is I'll organize it by like wordplay. So let's, like in this one, for example, that I'm going to show you guys today, I didn't want to do your standard like throw your hands in the air, woo, 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 woo sort of thing. I wanted to do a little bit of something different. So I used the word push, like push it, stuff like that. So I used a bunch of different words like that, and I made a folder in my Serato when I was originally like putting this together, and I just titled it like push it. And then I just went through my entire music library, and any sort of like acapella or sample that I had that used that phrasing, it went in that folder. So it's a very like objective, like organized based sort of approach to making these things that I do, but it does help because I'm able to like churn them out really quick. I'll just give you a preview of what we are working with today.
Push, push, push. When I push, I feel good. Push the tempo, 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 push the tempo. Push me. Push the tempo, 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 push the tempo. Push, push. Push the tempo, push the tempo, push the tempo, push the tempo.
I'll play the second part because there's a little bit of a change there as well.
Satisfaction, satisfaction, satisfaction.
When I push, I feel good. Push the tempo, 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 push the tempo. Push me. Push the tempo, 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 push the tempo. Push, push. Push the tempo, push the tempo, push the tempo, push.
All right, you get the picture. So starting out here, I have my sidechain that I'll go back to later, show you guys everything that I sidechained to it. I just ended up copying the beat from this section here and push it because that's like the main drum beat I want to come through. So I pretty much just took the little chops there and then I used that as my sidechain. I didn't really do too much here, just drop the samples in. What I did was I wanted to have similar drum beats, so that's why I added Wild Thing in there also. So it's a little bit of like a throwback at the same time. It's still got that cool like 130-ish kind of like breakbeat sound, so that's what I was going for. In Wild Thing, I ended up sampling the actual like, I don't even know the name of the instrument right now because I'm musically inept, but it's like a shaker kind of. Honestly, if someone could tell me what that is, that'd be great. I know exactly, like, I'm visualizing it in my head, but I just can't tell you what the instrument is. Anyway, took that as like the segue, use that kind of as like a shaker, and then I have a little side chain going here, and then I kind of just wanted the guitar to go through more in Wild Thing, so I did a little boost where the guitar is present here on the EQ8. And then here are all my vocal samples. I actually used the background, like ad-lib from Move That Dope. So
Push it, push it.
And then I think this was a Fatboy Slim vocal that I also grabbed.
Push the tempo, push the tempo, push the tempo, push the tempo.
And then this next vocal sample is from a song called Push Pull. It's like a house track.
Push, push.
And then you heard there I have a little delay, like a ping pong going on as well, just to add a little bit of movement, create some space, or fill some space, I should say, stuff like that. And then I had a little vocal chop there as well. So then I just gave it its own audio track, ducked the volume a little bit, so it kind of like hinted that it was coming back in, and then filled some of that space.
Push, push.
And I ended up doing the same thing here with the push from Benny Benassi, Satisfaction. How it says push me, I used that sample as well.
Push me.
Then I also used reverb here as well as some auto filter just to slowly bring it in. So I use a lot of reverb at the start just to like really have like the sound be like very wet, damp, like in the back, and then use that reverb and bring it down to slowly bring it forward more, like in your face. And then I'm also doing that in tandem with the auto filter, so it's just slowly bringing it further and further closer up in the mix. So you like can't even hear it right now, but it's coming in. And then I just added some minor effects. This one, I was very fortunate. I didn't have to do a lot, to be honest. I got really lucky with all the samples. It kind of just came together well. A lot of the production was already like panned or had elements that I liked already, so I didn't have to do too much. So I did a little reverse sweep here as an effect just to help with the segue during like the break when that shaker comes in. And then I have a couple risers, a light crash, a couple short sweeps, and then I have like an ambient crash that's in the back. And then going back here, I just made a group, like an FX group. And then like I showed you guys with like remixes and stuff like that, I have a sidechain going on here, very similar to in previous videos. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit of ducking. It's a little bit harsher actually on the effects here compared to some of the others. The threshold's a little bit lower just because I want to push those sounds more into the back. I did the same thing here with all the vocal samples, just a little bit less intense on the threshold. And then since this was the primary drum beat, didn't do any side chaining here, and then I did some side chain here on Wild Thing as well, just to help the kick and snare come through more in like the actual instrumental that's driving the track and push it. And then on the end here on the master, the songs were actually pretty quiet, so I didn't have to do this big like duck, bring the sounds back up volume-wise. All I had to do here was just did a roll-off, some dynamic EQ here with Neutron 3, which I brought up in a previous video about third-party plugins. So this is a dynamic EQ in Neutron 3. And then lastly, I just had the limiter, cranked up the volume a little bit, and it was done. And the main takeaway from this is just to make sure you have the idea on paper prior. I mean, it's one thing to have an idea in your head, but to have everything laid out like in a crate in Serato or in your iTunes library really helps a lot, because I was able to just make the crate, drag everything in here, do a little bit of processing, and then it was done. Whereas if I was just sitting there trying to like bounce a ball off a wall and figure it out as I went, this probably would have taken me a couple hours to do, whereas this only took me like, I don't know, like 20 minutes max to do. So this party break is actually going to be exclusive to my patrons only on my Patreon. So if you're interested in getting your hands on this edit, you can go to my Patreon, check it out. Alrighty, ladies and gents, that wraps it up for today's video. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And then I'll be back next week showing you guys a mashup that I did, but I'll be using a DIY acapella. So I'll show you guys how to make mashups with your own DIY acapellas in Ableton. But until then, take it easy, tell someone you love them, all that good stuff, and I'll be back soon.